That's
were
who
made
I
for
am,
that.
right?
Yeah.
I'm made for being in the gladiators arena.
Yeah.
Same thing with marriage. If you truly believe, and I always ask my class a question, would you die for your woman? If you can't really say, I won't die for her, I won't take a bullet for her, then what the fuck are you fighting for?
This is Vivian Villacis.
And this is Raul Villacis.
Welcome to the God, Money, and Purpose podcast.
Welcome to the God, Money, and Purpose podcast. My name is Raul Villacis, and I'm here with my beautiful co-host.
Vivian Villacis.
And today's a special episode. What are we celebrating today?
Yes, we're celebrating 21 years of marriage.
21 years, man. If all the men are out there, there is hope. There is hope. If we made it, you could make it too. So, man, 21 years. How do we come so far? How do we make it happen?
Oh my gosh. Let me tell you, if you're listening for the first time, we are here to give you hope because marriages are difficult, and not to say that ours was not. I mean, it was, but there was so many times that we could have walked out, that we could have done something different, that we could have continued to hurt each other. And we chose otherwise. We chose to actually work on ourselves, and we chose to have a better, more filling, more beautiful, more encouraging, more loving place for us to really, have this marriage. And if not just necessarily a marriage, but a partnership, a friendship, like all of this, what marriage involves, I think we just chose to have something just like, what was our next level in marriage?
See, nobody tells you the marriage is going to be this hard. I mean, when we got together, we were young. We were in love.
Very young.
I remember the first time I saw you, and you walked into the club because you and I met at the club, and I saw this beautiful woman coming in dressed in white, and it was like an angel coming down from. I said, "I'm gonna marry that woman. I want to marry that woman." I had no idea that we were gonna be 21 years later married.
Yeah.
But it just goes to show you that sometimes, like, love is not enough, because there's no shadow of a doubt that from the beginning, like, we connected, right?
Right.
But as we progressed in a relationship, we also wanted to kill each other.
Yeah.
We also, came to the point that the things that I loved about you and the things that you love about me trigger each other, and
You start to hate it.
love is not enough.
Yeah.
Love is not enough. And I think that's the topic that we're going to talk about in this episode: is love enough? Is love enough? And what do you do when you love that person, but they're not filling your needs? When you love that person and you're not getting in the same page.
So just thinking back of like when we started, and we started together when we were in high school. So just that alone kind of just
You were
makes
dating
me.
a friend of mine, and I was dating a friend of yours.
Yeah, but I don't
So
even
we
want
were-
to talk. I don't even want to talk
So
about
we were
that.
friends.
Yes, we
and
were
then
friends.
afterwards we became friends with benefits.
Yes, but I'm just thinking like, well, let's get past like the high school stage and all that, because that in itself was like, oh my God, traumatizing,
drama.
drama for me.
But I think you have to bring that, because there's a lot of couples that listen to us that are married since they were,
High school?
High school.
High school?
And I think that we do have to count that base, because that is a first stage, like a puppy stage of love, and very possessive, because in high school I was very possessive. Like, you were my girl, you were my
Yes,
woman.
you were like this. I mean, like a stereotype, like this machista, like just after, like, this is my woman and she's not gonna see, or nobody's gonna see her, and like I got caught up into that because you were kind of like my first love. And here's the thing, like, just me looking back is like, whether you're in the puppy stage or when you're already in the marriage stage, it's like you don't even know yourself. Imagine, like, I'm just thinking back, like, I'm just learning to remember who I am and what I want and what I love. And all of a sudden comes this person that, like, takes me and sweeps me off of my feet. And granted, like, you are such a romantic man, and you just, like, everything that I thought like I wanted, you just like totally gave me something else. And it kind of like,
I was also gangster. I was a gangster romantic. So you like the both aspect of the
you are
of the man. And
the great thing about you is that you are all of it. Like, you're just, like, you're funny, you are enthusiastic.
Well, I think so many people will not think I'm funny. Our kids do not think I'm funny.
I think you're
you're
funny.
the only one
I
who
think you're
laughs
funny.
at my jokes.
I think you're funny, but it's just like, so that alone, like, me thinking back, is like everything that I never know that I wanted, like, you came along and you offered that for me, and I'm like, oh, okay, so this is nice. Like, it feels so nice. But then So fast forwards, I'm moving forward from like this puppy love, this high school
So what was the
love.
worst thing, worst experience, looking back that you could have said, this memory we could have done without in our journey,
So
back in the high school days. So let's
right.
talk, let's
Okay,
kind of like
you want to
bring.
stick to high school days. I can't believe you want to make this podcast about our high school days. Like this is going to be like Rumble in a minute. So one of the things that I could say that I could do without is the fact that my sister and I had such a beautiful relationship until you and Carlos came along, which is Carlos
Carlos is my
is the
cousin, and
cousin.
then we were actually he was dating your sister
Yes.
before we actually started dating
Yes.
each other. So that was a link. That was
Yes.
a connection.
Right. So something that I could do without is that because you and Carlos brought so much drama. I would speak for us, right? Like you brought so much drama into my life because you were so possessive over me that I was not able to go out with my friends and go dancing. Like I've always loved to dance. And when I wanted to go dancing, it was like I had to ask, not only did I have to lie to my father and hide from my father, and then all of a sudden it's like I have a boyfriend that I have to lie to and hide from. So
I think that see
oh,
now
oh
we're
my,
talking about like the lies. That's what I was mad about, the
why did I
lies,
have
right?
to lie to you? Because you were so possessive. It's like I couldn't do anything and I wanted to go dancing. So I had to lie to you. I had to lie to my
But who you were
dad.
dancing with? That was a problem.
I was dancing by myself. I was dancing with my sister. So that's not even the problem. That's not even the
Well, see,
drama that I'm
so
talking about. Listen to me.
okay,
The drama
okay.
that I could do without is the thing that I could do without is the drama that you put into my life when you came into my life because you brought this sense of like, me and my sister were really in good terms most of the time until you guys. I'm not blaming you, but I'm just thinking back.
Just
It's like
tell the truth. You hit your sister with the phone in her head, and that's what you regret because she wouldn't let you get. She wouldn't get off the phone so you could talk
yes.
to me.
And it's just like, you guys were always interrogating us. So it's like, if I didn't tell you the truth, then you wanted to ask my sister. And then my sister would get mad at me because it's like, wait, why am I getting involved in this situation? Like, I'm just a bystander. I wasn't even there. So it was like this negative energy of like, I'm right and you're wrong. And like, tell me the truth. And no, that's a lie. And all that stuff was just like so much that really I would have done without.
So here's what one thing that I remember. That I think that's when we went really, really overboard is when I was on vacation with my family in Virginia Beach, and then Carlos stayed,
Oh, God, I remember that.
and he didn't want to go. He wanted to stay, but you guys thought that he came with us, but he stayed back. And you went out with your sister. You went out dancing, but you didn't know that Carlos was outside watching
Stalking
you guys,
us.
stalking you, and he
Yes.
followed you all the way to the club. And he was back then. We had beepers. He would beat me, and it's like, "Hey, Raul, they're in the club. Hey, Raul, they're dancing." Hey, like, we didn't have no phones. He couldn't take pictures. And the next day, when I called you, I said, "Hey, how was your weekend?" I said, "Oh, nice. We stayed home. I was with my sister. We had some friends." I said, "Did you go anywhere?" And you're like, "No, I stayed
No,
home."
no,
I
I
said, "All
didn't.
right." And I said, "Is that the truth?" And you say, "Yeah, that's the truth." I said, "Put your mother on the phone." And your mother got on the phone. And I said,
The
and I
audacity,
said,
you
"Could
have
you
to
tell
talk to
me?"
my
And then I
mother.
said, "Could you confirm that is the truth?" And your mother lied to me. And that's when I lost. I said, like, how can you, and to be honest with
Like
you,
my mom was the only one that was lying. Like,
and the truth is that I judge you based on the stuff that I was doing. I was very insecure. And we were young. We were young.
and
But
listen,
that's when I go looking back, it's like, man, that was a lot of drama.
it was a lot
It's
of
a lot
drama.
of drama.
And really honestly, like I could look back and like I remember clearly that night. And we even have a beautiful picture of like all this high school girls with this little skirts, with our legs up, kind of like the Rockettes, all in a line. Beautiful, loving, like just clean fun. And that's all we did. Like we danced, you know how like you see those little huddles of girls. And this I'm not saying like now I'm a married girl. Like I don't care what you think. I don't care what you would say. This is the honest truth. Like me, this is what happened. I'm just letting everybody else that's listening out there because this is what really happened. Even if Raul doesn't believe it, like I don't really care. It was such a beautiful night because we danced together. It was like this little huddle of girls just dancing and laughing and just being us girls. Like, we didn't want to dance with any one guy or we weren't like, looking for anyone. We were just looking to dance and to have fun. I didn't even know you were out there going bananas stalking me and
But I think that's the biggest issue. Biggest issue is like,
gosh.
why do women have to lie? Why do like what they lie or men too. Like
First of
the
all,
lie
first
is
of all, I
the lie is
wasn't
what creates the
okay.
separation.
First of all, I wasn't a woman. I was a girl. I was a girl. I was 17 years old,
No, you were 19.
18
We've
years
been
old.
together since 19.
18 years old when I was dancing. I remember
You
because
were
that's the
you were
time.
18 as an adult. You were an adult making adult
An
decisions.
adult,
You
but
got
here's
it.
the thing: an adult, and we don't even think like adults, right? And it's like because if I was an adult, if I was like in my like confident woman that I am today, I would have been like, I want to go out dancing. Like, this is what I love to do. I'm not doing anything wrong. I shouldn't have to lie to you. But it's like the possessiveness over me. It's like, maybe I am doing something wrong. Maybe I shouldn't be dancing. And then look, after that, like I stopped dancing. I stopped going
Mm.
out with my friends. I stopped doing the things that I love. I stopped hanging out with my sister and my friends. And then it's like, why?
And the feedback from me looking back is like what I loved about you was the free spirit. What I loved about you was you defiant. Like, I don't give a shit what you think. I'm gonna do what I want, and then little by little, as men we think that we are protecting you, but we actually are putting out that fire.
You're dimming our
We're dimming the
light.
light, and then that's when there was some more polarity. Then we got married, and then you started just doing whatever I said, and then all of a sudden there was no more spark. And I think
Yeah.
that's the first stage, right? We think that we want something from a woman, like we think we want control, but the reality is that the feminine doesn't need to be controlled. You can't control the feminine energy. So what we're doing as men is we are dimming the light, and we're trying to control the feminine. And the reality is we put you in a masculine casket. And the
Yes.
masculine casket is not a turn on for us.
Right. And then going fast forward, when we did get married, when we were together, then I just felt like, okay, well, I have to reciprocate all these things that he's given me, all the love. So let me just do everything that he says, that he's asking me for. Let me just, it's like a performance base. So like, let me just outdo what you've given me
Please, so
to
please,
please
please,
you.
please, without really that spark that attracted us in the first place.
Yeah.
So
So I stopped. Like I said, like, and that's why, like, I ask women now, it's like, what brings you joy? And I often have to ask myself that part again. It's like, Vivian, what brings you joy? What brings you happiness? And the little things, like, whether it's like, I'm not waiting. I always tell you that, like, don't take offense, but I'm like, I'm not waiting for you to buy me flowers, but I love flowers. I love to just see them at my desk, and it brings joy to me. So I go and I get them. I love to dance, and I don't necessarily need to go dance in a nightclub, which I don't even think they have any nightclubs anymore.
after Corona,
I
they
don't
definitely
know.
don't. Even before
Well,
Corona, they have
right?
there's
Very
lounges
few.
now.
Yeah, lounges. It's like I look like a crazy woman dancing in a lounge, but I don't care because I love to dance. And I'm not a dancer, but I just love to move my body if I hear the music. But I do that in the comfort of my home. So like I find a space and then I dance and I move my body because that's what brings me joy. But if we stop doing those things, then that's the challenge, I would say, that brings us to like this, I want to say sexless marriages, because there is no polarity.
There's a polarity disconnect.
Right? There's disconnect, and there's disconnect from your partner because you have a disconnect from yourself. Because the minute that you stop remembering the things that brought you joy, the thing that brings you aliveness, and it's like, how can you feel alive in the marriage? And I mean, we go through those phases, like in and out, in and out, in and out. It's insane how like it could change.
So if you're listening to this in YouTube, just put a comment in here. Let us know, what you're hearing from this conversation. If you could relate, if you're watching this through Facebook or Instagram, still comment. Let us know some questions that you have. We could answer in this podcast. I think that this is a topic that a lot of marriages have. And right before we started having this podcast, we're talking about what we're going to talk about today, right? The anniversary and the journey, and
Yeah.
and a lot of marriages, what they do is they negotiate instead of really having fulfillment. Like they negotiate what is enough for them to stay together. And we're talking about a conversation I had with one of the guys who applied for my program this past couple of weeks.
Yeah,
And he said he's been married for 16 years, and he doesn't really have sex with his wife, maybe once in a while, but he has a girlfriend. And then that's how he justifies sex. But he loves his wife. It's just for him. It's just sex. It's just
A release.
a release. And we're
Yeah.
talking of the podcast with each other. And we said, when does that get to be like a business deal? How do we treat if we look at a marriage, a business deal, when is sex become a negotiating tool? And is that something that, it could be negotiated? Because I look at it as like, man, this man loves his woman. He wants to be with her, but he is not pushing for sex. And obviously the wife doesn't want to give him sex. And now he just wants to get fulfilled somewhere else. Is it, without looking at what's right or wrong, is what's useful? Is it useful for somebody to stay in that relationship? Is it useful for somebody to do that and to talk about that,
Well,
come to a negotiating table and say, okay, here's what I want. You're not going to give it to me, so here's what I want to get, but I still want to
be
be
with you.
together.
Well, and that's, I guess it's good if you're coming to the table to negotiate, and that sounds really good. But at the same time, like, how do you, like, we can't even deal with each other. How are you going to bring another person into the relationship? Right? It's like, okay, now you're going to have two different women in your life. How do you even deal with that? Then coming into a marriage, just a commitment between you and I. If you make that commitment, right? If you're in a marriage, then you're really going to bring somebody else into this relationship because you're not having enough sex. Then it comes to the question to me as a wife, why am I not fulfilling that part? Because if sex is so important to you as it should be to me, what is the downfall in there? Like, why aren't we having sex?
And it's one thing that when we talked about this, I realized that we're settling. Like, that's where, like, man will settle. I don't want to fight for the connection. I'd rather have this right here, which is really just sex. It's not a deep spiritual connection, and I think that we, as couples, we need to start asking ourselves, like, what do we want in our marriage? Every single time that anniversary comes in, it reminds me of the time that we had an anniversary, and we had a conversation where we were not happy in our marriage.
Right.
And that sparked the work. That sparked the desire. Said, okay, we're not happy. Fine. Let's take a look at what we're not happy, and let's see what we need to do to get us to a place that we could be happily with each other. And doesn't mean that it's going to happen overnight, because that's one of the things that I talk about all the time with my clients. Like, shit is not going to happen overnight. You're not going to fix your business. You're not going to fix your marriage. You're not going to fix your health, your connection with God overnight. But if you put in the work on a daily basis, you're going to start seeing progress. But at the same time, don't look at things as right or wrong. Look at things as what's useful, not useful, right? Is that having a girlfriend, is that
Very
long-term
nice.
sustainable? It's maybe for a couple of years, but long term, somebody's gonna get hurt. Somebody's
Yeah.
is going to leave out of the relationship with pain.
And just to be in that sense of a relationship, like, I'm no one to judge, like, if you do what you got to do, then what makes you happy. But I think there needs to be like, okay, you need to end this relationship because it's not working out, and then go on to the next. Like, leave a clean space between. It's like, I love you, I loved you, I respect you, but it's not working out. Like, I've tried it for 16 years and something needs to change. If these things are not willing to change, then you know what? We both have to go on because, I had a conversation with the client earlier, and I told them, like, I stand for marriages, I stand for love and for commitment, but and you need to be happy in this relationship. And if you're not happy, then you can't. If you're not happy in a relationship, there is no synergy, there is no happiness there. So, like, there needs to be a solution, and you got to sit down not from a place of like a princess mentality that you come and you start nagging and like crying and like, no, you need to come with like this queen mentality and say, like, hey, listen, I loved you as much as I could love you. I respect you, but this is not love and respect moving forward. Like, we need to do something different, or I just need to walk away because I love myself and I love you too much to even continue to hurt each other.
But
Right.
it's just like in anything else, a relationship. Looking back in 21 years, it's like that's
Yeah.
as long as I also had my business. 21 years.
Yeah.
So we've gone up and down. I mean, we got
Yeah.
married, and then I opened up the business after the first year of being married.
Yeah.
And when people ask me, like, what made you become an entrepreneur? For me, it was no other choice. Like, that was me.
That was you. You
that's
were
who I
made for
am,
that.
right?
Yeah.
I'm made for being in the gladiators arena.
Yeah.
Same thing with marriage. If you truly believe, and I always ask my clients the questions: will you die for your woman? If you can't really say, I won't die for her, I won't take a bullet for her, then what the fuck are you fighting for?
Yeah.
In this case, with this guy asking the same thing, he says, I will die for her.
So he loves her.
There's no question that he loves her. There's no question that she loves him. The only question is like, how do you get the physical need met? And I think
So
that's where there's opportunities for to conversation, whether it's open relationships, whether it's sex therapy, whether it's anything to help the relationship not get closed down to like I'm wrong. Because what will kill that, and I know and I see patterns, is the guilt and the shame. That yes, it's a quick fix. You got a girlfriend,
yeah.
you got a side thing here and there,
Does she
but the
have a side
guilt,
thing?
we don't know.
Most
Probably,
likely.
most likely, right?
Yeah.
So, but the reality is that the guilt and shame will start to kill that relationship, and the little love that they have, or what they have, will start to erode from the core.
And that's another thing too. Like when you bring like outside sources, right, to like fulfill what's happening in here, I truly honestly believe that there is healing that needs to happen from like a past experience,
Mm.
right? Like,
Exactly. That's
there
exactly what I told him. I
there's
said, "Yeah,
so many times that we've talked about something that has come up that we never addressed it. That is still there and it's still so vivid in my heart or in your heart. And then when we start talking about it, like we automatically already get angry, right? But instead of getting angry, like let's find a solution. Let's heal that part so we don't continue to like feeling this way. So now, if they are looking for other people to satisfy their needs, leave that aside. Can we come back to this agreement, this commitment? Can we learn? Can we ask each other, what do we need to heal? Maybe like this woman or this guy feels judged because you've already been with an outside partner, but now you're with me. So
mm,
now I feel less than. Do you see, like you're already bringing new problems into the relationship that you don't need.
yeah." Because at the end of the day, the reason they're not probably having sex, because between both of them there is no polarity, and
Right.
also there's guilt and shame, and there's a feeling of, what do you learn with him, what do you learn with her, and then
Yeah.
you bring all that energy into the bedroom, and there is a disconnect.
Of
There's a lot
course.
of healing, and I think that's what, between you and I, what has happened, what is just healing. Like I started working on myself, you started working on yourself, and little by little we both begin to heal outside of needing each other to heal, and then we become one with each other, and we start healing each other, and expediting the process.
Yeah, and I would say in this 21 years of my marriage is really, I would say like the ultimate secret that I could say that is really no secret is more like, we're always looking for someone else to complete you. And for a long time, I was really looking for you to complete me, to validate me, to tell me who I am and to make me feel like all these sorts of things. And then when I kind of like put a stop to that myself, and then I had to ask myself, like, who is Vivian without Raul? Who is Vivian without all this other stuff around her? Without, I didn't have kids, but if you have kids or if you have a job or you have whatever it is, like, who are you without someone or anything around you? Because a lot of the times we're looking for something or someone to complete us instead of looking, like you weren't even complete. So how can I do that to you, first of all? And when I started to ask those questions, like when I started to feel complete, when I started to remember like what it is that I love, that brings me joy, that brings me sadness or even anger. So it's like I started to really to remember who Vivian is through what God created. Then it kind of gave me a sense of like wow, like I know who I am. Like I'm starting to remember, hey, this is Raul, this is who I could bring into the table. This is what I have to offer. And are you okay with that? Could you love that part of me?
And looking back now, as I go through the journey, I realized that I fell in love with your defiant, your fire, who you were, and this, Amazonian queen who didn't take shit from nobody, right? But my insecurities, when we get together, dim that light,
Mm.
dim that fire, until I got strong enough to actually take on that fire without being threatened. And I think that's what a lot of men, when we do it, we feel threatened. We don't know how to be with a powerful woman. So therefore, we project our insecurities, we project who we are.
Yeah.
So I'm just glad that after 21 years, I've been able to take on that fire, and I love you. And I can't wait for the next 21 years, because I know that the
And more.
best is yet to come. Because bring it on, I'm ready. You could dance, you could do whatever you want to do. I'm here to hold the space for you. I'm here to experience the
Yes.
beauty that you are, the beautiful Amazonian queen that you are. Because
Thank you,
I
my
know
love.
that our souls connected 21 years ago, and they're going to continue to be on fire
Thank you,
the next
Mavida.
21
I
years.
love you so much more. And in that, it's like the love and the respect that I have for you as a man, just like for everything that you do, and not necessarily what you do, but for who you are, to learn to respect that alone, like it's life-changing. And we will continue to celebrate many, many more years. And
So
I
the
pray,
next 21.
yeah.
To love you back. Follow us on Facebook. Follow us on Instagram. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening to this podcast. As you can see, this is not a perfect conversation. We're not perfect. We're not a perfect couple. We're
Far
a
from it.
work in progress. Follow us everywhere, except for a bedroom. So we'll keep it private. Learn it,
Live it, experience it, love life.
If you receive any value from this conversation, comment, subscribe, and share as we continue to impact more people and take them to the next level.
And please send us your comments and questions so we could answer them in the next podcast.
See you in the next episode.